Motorsports, covering the latest breaking news that has just hit us. I'm sure that if you're tuning into this, you've probably already seen via social media. It's not the most shocking news in the world, but it has finally been announced. This man here on your screens, Matt Burt, Valentino Rossi, has signed a 2-year deal with Yamaha. He will be racing to the age of 41 into 2020 with Yamaha.
Yes, and I'm sure that makes that man on the left-hand side of your screens, Dorna CEO Carmelo Espeleta, and of course millions of MotoGP fans all around the world ecstatic, big smiles from Valentino Rossi, and why wouldn't there be? As Steve said, the breaking news here in Qatar. He has just signed a new 2-year extension to his factory Yamaha contract, and as Steve said, riding in MotoGP until at least 41. What's not to say that Valentino Rossi will not still have the hunger, the desire and the motivation to extend his illustrious career beyond the next 3 years. But yet fantastic news all around. What a way to start 2018. Valentino Rossi, the doctor, has another 2-year appointment in MotoGP.
It just adds to the spices that are already leading into what is a fantastic recipe for 2018, Matt. We were talking about it off air just a moment ago because the MotoGP bikes were lining up on the grid. It is so exciting coming into this year.
At least, Steve, 10 guys, I think, are capable of winning Grand Prix this year. The competition in terms of motorcycles and equipment is closer than it ever has been with the Michelin tyres, the controlled electronics. Aprilia are in with a shout of top sixes. KTM looking strong. Honda, Ducati and Yamaha potentially fighting out for the championship. Suzuki coming up on the rails as well. It's all set up for another absolutely outstanding year of MotoGP action. Can it get any better than 2016 and 2017 when we've had 2 outstanding years? We certainly hope so. Down the pit lane.
Sorry to interrupt, guys, but I have grabbed the first rider I can see coming out the door. We're going to have a word with Paul Espargaro. Paul, it's fantastic to see you back here, and it's fantastic to see you here in Qatar. But obviously, we need to catch up with you and find out how you're feeling. What's the latest? Obviously, you missed that 1 day of testing, but fitness-wise, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better. And honestly, to be here for me, it's already, you know, a good notice, good news, because doctor said almost 2 months of, you know, be at home, but I could jump on the bike on the test. I could do 2 days, and finally I'm here ready to race. I don't know if I will be 100%, but anyway, to be here already, it's like a trophy for us.
Well, we appreciate just seeing you. So tell me, give it to me straight. RC6, RC17, I should say. Oh no, 18. What am I talking about? Good points, bad points. What has been the best thing that you've been able to develop over the winter, and what still needs a bit of work?
Yeah, we've been working a little bit on everything because, you know, last year for sure we need to touch the biggest parts of the bike, the chassis, swing on one engine, but looks like now we have a good base. We are around 1 second of the top guys, and we cannot, you know, make big changes on the bike because the bike is working pretty well. So now I think it's going to be a matter of small changes on the bike, just to be really precise and clear of the changes we've done. And I think, yeah, I didn't make you know, all the days in the pre-season, you know, but I think, yeah, my teammate Bradley and Mika have done a very good job. The bike is ready, and I think we are going to be a little bit better this year.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks to Amy and to Paul Espargaro there. I believe we just saw Simon down in pit lane with our newest addition to the MotoGP grid for 2018. Simon, are you with Hafiz Siren, I believe?
I am, Steve, and he's a happy chappy having this amazing experience moving up to MotoGP. Hafiz, can you tell us what the experience has been like so far and how you feel going into the first race?
I feel really exciting and really enjoy with the GP bike, and now I get a little bit nervous, but I try to control this situation, but I try to enjoy this weekend because this weekend will be my first participate in MotoGP.
Good luck, Hafiz. Good luck.
Steve, when he sits on those chairs lining up on the 2018 MotoGP grid, he looks around, he sees Valentino Rossi, Marc Marquez, Jorge Lorenzo. He's just going to be pinching himself, isn't he? I think Amy is about to talk to the rookie revelation 2017, a man who was fastest in the test here just 2 weeks ago. You've got Johann Zarco, Amy?
I have indeed. Johann Zarco, we were just talking about, obviously 1 year ago, you were sat here about to make your debut on the MotoGP grid. 1 year later, you're going on there for your photo, but as a serious title contender, how does that feel?
Feel good. It's nice feeling that all the riders count me as a guy fighting for title. So I love this feeling, and I enjoy it. So that's pretty nice. Last year was a great way to start the season and get the confidence that a rider needs. And now need to confirm it after a great test we did 2 weeks ago.
Do you know what the best thing is? You've still got to take your MotoGP win, so people already think of you as a serious contender for the title, and you've still to get your first MotoGP win. It's unbelievable stuff. Yeah,
that's true. That's why maybe I can fight for title if I want to have the victory, my first victory all the year. It means I will be second all the year, so this is enough points to be champion maybe.
Thanks, Johan. I'll let you go for your photo now. Thank you.
Johan Zarco, so much to talk about when it comes to that man. I'm so excited to see what he can bring to the party. 12 months ago, Matt, we were here and he led for the opening 6 laps, and it got better and better throughout the year. In your opinion, do you agree with Marc Marquez? Johan Zarco is a title contender?
Yeah, 100%. Who am I to argue with a man who's won 4 out of the last 5 MotoGP World Championships? Johan Zarco, Happy siren, he's always got a smile on his face. Paper aeroplanes already being flown around the grid for him. But his teammate Johan Zarco, it has never been done in the history of the MotoGP World Championship. A rider from a non-factory team has never, ever won the title. Is that run about to be ended this year by a Frenchman who upset the odds last year, Steve? I mean, he was absolutely sensational. I don't think coming into the year, even though he was a double Moto2 World Champion, anybody gave him a prayer of the results that he did. As you said, he led the first 6 laps of this Grand Prix. He ruffled up that man in the back of your pitch there, Valentino Rossi in Austin. He ruffled him up in Assen. Valentino, to be fair, wasn't the only guy to get ruffled up by Johan Zarco. And of course, he came so close to win that final Grand Prix of the year in Valencia. He is going to be right there, and no doubt about it, I can see him winning a couple of races this year, if not more.
Tito about there making his way to the grid, Siren on the grid. Rossi and talking to his academy rider Morbidelli, the master and the apprentice. You could argue there, having a little chat on the grid. And yeah, here is Johan Zarco then making his way onto the grid himself.
This guy, Steve, it's strange. He seems to absolutely love and thrive on the pressure. You know, some guys can shrink into their shell a bit, let the pressure get the better of them. But this guy, it seems to just motivate him and make him even stronger. So many strings to his bow, Johan Zarco. He's coming into this race, confidence riding high, as he just mentioned to Amy. Fastest here in the test 2 weeks ago, almost with the outright lap record, beating Jorge Lorenzo's amazing 153.9, which, let's not forget, was set on Michelin qualifying tyres. When those qualifying tyres were super sticky, designed to last for 2 or 3 laps. They were qualifying tyres in every sense of the word. There's another young man, actually, who might spring a few surprises this year. Jack Miller, Steve, who after 3 fairly difficult years, I think it's fair to say, on the Honda, has gelled superbly with that Ducati.
I think Simon has just caught up with him. Si, have you got Jack with you at the moment?
I have, Steve, and he's looking awesome in his new leathers. And Jack, we just really wanted to hear how you feel going into the first race. You know, it got serious for the first time on the Duke. Here we go.
Yeah, no, super excited. You know, I love this part of the year. You know, everyone here in the new colours, and you know, it's just it's an amazing part of the year. And no, feeling really good at the moment with the new team and with the new bike. You know, really excited. The bike looks awesome. I like the leathers and how everything's looking. So just hoping they look fast. Let's just hope we can you know, go fast in them.
We believe you can do it, buddy. You and really. You're basically one of 2 that we've picked to, like, Rins to upset, you know, the regulars at the front. We think you can do it.
We'll give it a go. You know, it's too early to tell, but you know, if testing's anything to show, you know, it's something. Especially Alex has been going really well in the test. You know, there's a few knock in there, but you know, as we've seen with Zarco, the independent bikes can do it. So you know, I wouldn't be surprised this year if we've got a few independent. I wouldn't be surprised to see winners, you know, with Zarco and Cal and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of really good, you know, good opportunities there, I think, this year.
Fantastic, Jack. Thank you.
Cheers, Simon.
Thanks to Simon Crowfowl there and to Jack Miller. There is Jack's teammate, Danilo Petrucci, and I think he's quite right. It's not just Zarco we need to look at in terms of independent riders. Cal Crutchlow, we just saw a moment ago, Petrucci. There is such a strong depth of field.
Well, it's easy to forget, isn't it, Steve? Cal Crutchlow and Danilo Petrucci, yes, they're in independent teams, but they're on full factory bikes.
Yeah,
Cal Crutchlow's motorcycle is the exact same as Danny Pedrosa from Marc Marquez. Danilo Petrucci in that luxury position where his motorcycle is the same spec as Jorge Lorenzo and Andrea Dovizioso. So yeah, they're independent team riders, but they're on full factory contracts, and they're going to be expected to be at the sharp end more often than what they were last year. Certainly in the drive for Petrucci, and Cal did not have a great year. One podium by his standards was a fairly poor return by Cal. He'll be looking to turn that around this year.
Excuse guys, I've just got Mark Marquez with me. He's agreed to have a quick hello to us, how he feels going into the first race as one of the favourites for the championship.
Yeah, of course, looking forward for 2018 season, but especially first race, you know, everything new, a little bit more nervous than usual because it's a special race after long winter, but anyway, we know that will be a race very, very tight because we did a test here 2 weeks ago, and yeah, try to be ready to enjoy and to fight.
Thanks, Mark. Good luck.
Thank you.
Great work there, Simon Crafart, chatting to the world champion, Marc Marquez. There's no doubting, Matt, that despite all of the talk and the excitement, this is still the man with the target on his back. Yeah,
and interesting there, listening to him talk to Simon. You know, even the best, the guy that's achieved so much in his career, even Marc Marquez at this stage of the year was feeling those pre-race nerves. There's a lot of tension in the air. I think we can go back down to pit lane. Amy, have you got another guide for us? No, just a bit of wind noise in the background. Yeah, but like I was saying, Steve, even the very, very best, he's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt, hasn't he, Marc Marquez? And even he's feeling a little bit of apprehension going into that first Grand Prix. Of course, there is so much anticipation, certainly going into this year. After the winter testing we've had, it's been unpredictable. Maverick Vinales fast on one day, nowhere the next. Jorge Lorenzo, unbelievable in Japan.
Here, guys.
Simon, yeah, back to you, mate, down in pit lane.
Yes, I've got Alex Rins with me, who you guys already know how I feel, how he's going to be one of the guys, the rookies, you know, to really upset the regulars at the front of the grid, and I'm hoping getting on the podium this year for the first time.
Thank you. Yeah, hello everybody. As you know, I'm really anxious to start this new season. You know, many days testing, and especially this pre-season was really good for me. We developed quite well, not the bike, so I'm happy to start tomorrow the new season.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for your time. He's actually a neighbour of mine as well, so we bump into each other a few times.
Barbecue round Simon's there. Alex Rins there, yeah, he had a great pre-season. Quickly talk about, there's so much to talk about, Matt, and obviously we've got the whole weekend to do so, but we have to talk about the man on the screen right now as well, Andrea Dovizioso. What a season he had last year, and you know, it was a two-man show, let's not forget about that. It was his best season to date in MotoGP, and I think you probably agree, I have never seen a more confident and calm and relaxed looking Andrea Dovizioso going into the start of the season.
Yeah, these pictures just proving what you just said, Steve. He does look a completely different character. Super calm, super relaxed, super collected as always, Andrea Dovizioso. And based on what we saw here in the test 2 weeks ago, Steve, he wasn't quickest. The Yamahas were really strong on new soft tyres. We saw Zarco quickest, Valentino Rossi second, Maverick Vinales fifth. But Marc Marquez, he's a wily old fox. Marc was looking at those lap times of the longer runs, and the man who looked in great shape was Andrea Dovizioso. And Marc, nailing his colours to the mast pretty clearly. He said, when we come back here in 2 weeks' time for the race, which is right where we're at now, he said for him, for the Qatar Grand Prix, your pre-race favourite is definitely Andrea Dovizioso. And there are many people, Steve, that think it's going to be another title showdown between Marquez and Dovizioso, with the likes of Pedrosa, Lorenzo, Rossi, Vinales sticking their nose in every now and again. This man as well, Johan Zarco. But it does look like most people, if you say to them, come on guys, push or shove, what are you going to go for? They're going, well, for me, Marquez or Dovizioso. Tough to call. Not a lot between them in winter testing.
No, it's going to be really exciting. It's so interesting, this part of the season, Matt. This is a rare sight. You're seeing MotoGP riders here. You see the two brothers, Leish and Pol. That's not an unusual sight. But this is a rare opportunity, isn't it, for riders to actually have a good chat with each other. They don't do this in the middle of the season. And, of course, everything's all friendly and nice at the moment because there's not been a wheel turned in anger yet.
Yeah, I think the friendly and nice goes out of the window at about, what, 2:45 tomorrow afternoon when FP1 gets underway. I'm just loving actually seeing Hafiz Sharin down there, because you can just tell. You can't quite believe what's happening to him. He's on a MotoGP grid. Tom Luthi, one of 5 rookies then, moving up for the Moto2 World Championship. Close to, well, fought greatly with Franco Morbidelli for that Moto2 crown last year. Danilo Petrucci. Now, he is one man to keep a very close eye on this weekend, because 2 weeks ago at the test, Steve, a full race simulation, and he was mighty impressive, all but 2 laps in the 155s. And what was really impressive about Petrucci on that occasion, he went out on the soft Michelin front tyre, the soft Michelin rear tyre, which says 2 things for me. Danilo Petrucci, we know he lost 4 kilos of weight in the winter to help with his riding, but he had to be smoother, less aggressive, because then he was saving the rear tyre better and was not quite so aggressive on fuel consumption. And that soft option rear tyre that he used in that race simulation, to me, shows that Petrucci has made big progress in smoothing and taming out his riding style.
Well, on the lookout for a factory ride. Will it work out for Petrucci? Here are then last year's championship rivals, who actually did get along rather well, surprisingly. Having a good old natter.
Well, it's all's fair in love and war with those 2 guys. I think there's a great documentary out right now done by Dawn, and Marc Marquez Unseen, the behind the scenes of his World Championship campaign last year. I think there was a quote that summed up their relationship. Yeah, they are bitter rivals on the track, but Marc Marquez says, I think maybe after the Red Bull Ring or after one of their great fights in Austria or Japan, where he said, the cool thing I like about racing Andrea Dovizioso is, yeah, it's pretty fierce, it's pretty intense and hot on the track, but afterwards you can have a civilised chat about it and a bit of a laugh about it, because Andrea, you know, he's such a canny old operator. Andrea's seen it all. There's nothing he hasn't seen. He knows that Marc Marquez is aggressive, and everything finishes on the track. You know, it's not carried on with any sort of petulant comments afterwards. It's all carried out on the circuit.
Excuse guys, sorry to interrupt. I'm down in the pit lane with someone who was a hero of mine when I was wanting to come to Europe and first come to Europe, Luca Cadalora. And anyone that watched the racing back in the 90s wouldn't remember him. But also he's now working as a rider coach, and as I understand, and for Movistar Yamaha, which have 2 of the best riders in the paddock. And I'm curious, Luca, from your side, how do your riders feel after winter testing and coming into the new season?
Yeah, you know, I remember it's always a great moment when you start to have the first race, because okay, we have the test and so on, but now the job is become serious. So we will know pretty soon in which position we can be, and how we work it in the winter. Is always exciting.
Luca, can I ask for the listeners how you help the riders? You know, from we can say rider coach, but does it come from the inside the box, or do you watch on the track, or what do you help with exactly?
Basically, mostly out on the track. I'm looking around almost everywhere, in every part of the track, and then we focus where we know that we have some more trouble. But also there is some job that I can do in the pit together with the team. Is a great. I like it.
And you help both the riders or just Valentino?
Just Valentino, because we have Wilco Zellenberg that is in charge with Maverick. So that's his job.
Luca, pleasure to speak with you. Thank you.
Thanks to Simon Crowfoot there and Luca Cadalora. Interesting, while we were hearing Luca talk there, Matt, you can see Valentino Rossi, who's just announced he's going to be staying till 2020, and Maverick Vinales having a good old natter. It's not necessarily a jovial conversation. You can almost assume that they're talking about the 2018 Yamaha, because let's not beat around the bush here. There's work for Yamaha to do.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. Yeah, they are behind Ducati and Honda, make no bones about that. They struggled throughout winter testing with the age-old problems. You know, electronics are where they are behind. Ducati and Honda have got their electronics way more sorted. We saw how many times last year Dovizioso and Lorenzo able to race that soft option rear tyre, because electronically they can manage the tyre much better. Yamaha, certainly in Malaysia and in Thailand during the pre-season, they struggled in baking hot conditions, which we knew from last year. They just can't get the tyre durability from the rear tyre like the Honda and the Ducati can. That's something they've got to work on. Valentino Rossi told us in Thailand that he didn't think there was a quick fix. There's a lot of work still to be done on the electronics for Yamaha. Vinales said in the build-up to this Grand Prix, they're not at 100%. Well, if you're off 100% in MotoGP these days, Steve, you ain't winning.
The only man so far on the front row I can see that not engaged in any conversation of any sort. In fact, there's 2, Danny Pedrosa and Jorge Lorenzo. We'll start with Danny. He's sat there between Maverick Vinales and Marc Marquez. There's a chance, isn't there, for him? If he can iron out the problems in the obviously the cooler temperatures, and on the bad days he can get better results. There's every chance he could still be in the hunt.
Well, it's appropriate that he's sat in between Rossi, Vinales, Marquez and Dovizioso, because he can get in the mix of those guys fighting for race wins and for the championship. It's a little bit hard for me, Steve, to judge Danny this weekend in Qatar, because 2 weeks ago at the test, of course, on that first night, he had that big crash at the second corner and quite badly knocked his right hand, and we didn't really then see Danny riding at his maximum potential for the remainder of that test. So I think it was hard over those 3 nights a couple of weeks ago to really find out where Danny's at this circuit. Don't think he's going to be as strong as what he was in Sepang and in Buriram, because it comes back to that age-old problem for Pedrosa. Once the temperature starts getting a little bit cooler, which it does do when the sun goes out here in Qatar, it's just a little bit harder for him to find feel from those tyres. And
in terms of records in Qatar, Jorge Lorenzo has the best of the lot, but he doesn't look like the happiest guy down on the grid at this moment. He's... oh, sorry, Amy, go on.
Sorry, guys, we're talking about Jorge Lorenzo. We can chat about him in just a second, because I am down here in the pit lane with Davide Tardozzi. But first, I think we need to speak or have a few words on Andrea Dovizioso. Last year, Davide, he learned how to believe in himself. He learned how to ride with that horse of irrationality, and it just paid off in the millions. What can we expect? I don't think we need to say what we can expect from him this year, but just how much of a difference has that made to him for the start of the year?
I think that his grab's still there. I mean, Dovi is another rider since 1.5 years ago, and I guess that this year he will be competitive again for the championship. I think that is for sure a title competitor. Anyway, I think that even Marc Marquez realized that, and everybody will be focused on him every race.
And how has that affected his mood coming into this opening Grand Prix? Does he just seem even more confident, or is he exactly the same?
Yeah, he's really confident. He's happy about his winter test, and he's confident that he will be there for the winnings, like he did in the last couple of races here in Qatar, in a couple of years. Anyway, it will be a tough race. This year it will be the toughest race in Qatar we have ever seen in the last couple of years.
We heard it there from Davide Tardozzi. This year, Qatar is going to be off the hook. Davide, before I let you go, let's have a quick word on Jorge Lorenzo. Pre-season testing, it's been a bit hit and miss, but at this point, how does he feel coming into this opening Grand Prix?
We'll see, because he had a fantastic test in Sepang while he was really struggling in Chang. He was not so perfect, but I spoke with him even a couple of minutes ago, and it seems that he needs to be back with the Sepang mental attitude, and I think that he will be really perfect for the race. I think that it will be a winner contender.
Thanks, Davide.
Bye.
Thanks to Davide Tardozzi and to Amy Dargan. 32 World Championships between this lot and 416 Grand Prix race wins. What a season in prospect we have. Your thoughts on Jorge Lorenzo coming into this, Matt? Because obviously you spent enough time analysing stuff with us over the tests.
Well, obviously blindingly fast, unbelievably fast in Malaysia, and then he went completely AWOL in Buriram. Not fantastic here, I've got to say, 2 weeks ago, Steve. I think actually Jorge Lorenzo will be happy that the race has been brought forward by 2 hours for the MotoGP riders. Of course, they normally go off at 9 p.m. Well, at the test 2 weeks ago, Lorenzo, when the temperature went down, really struggled. When there was temperature on the track, an ambient temperature, he was actually okay. He was fine because he had grip, he had feel. But as soon as the sun went down and it got later into the evening, Lorenzo really suffered. So I think of anybody that's going to be wondering about the race time starting at 7 o'clock, he's going to be one of the happy ones. Danny Pedrosa also, of course, because 2 hours earlier means that there's going to be more temperature on the surface at 7 p.m. as well, and that's been an issue for Danny. So the 2 Spanish riders, yeah, they'll be happy with that earlier race start.
Suzuki, guys. Sorry, Simon, go ahead.
Sorry, Steve. I'm here with my first chief mechanic that I had, in Europe, and to me, an absolute legend. He taught me so much, and he's still doing that now for Joan Zarco. His name's Guy Coulon. We all know him. With the shock of blonde hair and incredible amount of experience. Guy, I just wanted to know from you, after all these years in the paddock, it must be an exciting time, to start a year as strong as this. I know we can never predict racing what's going to happen, but from your side, how do you feel?
So it's a bit difficult to explain, but I started racing in 1974, and I am keep going because I am thinking next race will be maybe the best. so we had some good results last year, especially end of the season, and I am more than 63 years old, but at the end of this season I thought maybe the next race will be better, so that's why I like to stay there and to keep going, even if sometimes you have a difficult result or difficult races or some problem.
Key, we wish you the best of luck, and I sure do. Thanks for helping all the riders you have, and good luck with this amazing rider you've got this year. Thanks, Key. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Great combination, Guy Coulon and Johan Zarco. Thanks for that, Simon. Well, these guys look like they're just about done on the grid. And now, finally, Matt, all the talking and all the testing is done, and we can get on with business tomorrow.
Steve, I can't wait. Been here 23 years in this MotoGP paddock, and I've never felt a sense of excitement and anticipation like I feel right now. I think it's going to be, in all three classes, but in particular in MotoGP, another truly sensational year. You're not going to want to miss a second of every lap, because it is going to be, I think, the most exciting, the closest and the most intense battle for the World Championship we've ever seen in the history of the sport, and that's saying something.
It certainly is. This man here then has signed a 2-year extension to his deal that will see him riding through to the end of 2020 at least, and I'm sure there'll be more reaction to come from that in the press conference, which is actually set to start in 20 minutes, although it looks like that might not happen at this particular moment, Matt, as they all rush back to get out of their leathers.
Well, it won't start while you're sitting next to me, because you're hosting it.
Stranger things have happened. Jack Miller there, walking off the grid so much. I want to talk to you quickly about Suzuki, because we've not really mentioned them in this. Alex Rins, we know, we've been talking about him throughout testing. He's been brilliant. Andrea Iannone, if he can get his mojo back, he's more than capable of mixing it with the front guys. But Suzuki in general, their camp seem pretty happy with the bike that they've put on the grid here for 2018.
Really, really happy, Steve. They think that they've delivered a podium bike, no doubt about it. They think they've got a podium bike underneath Alex Rins and Andrea Iannone.
You there, guys?
Yeah, go for it, Simon. Over to you, mate, in pit lane.
I'm down here with Danilo Petrucci, and Danilo, we're curious, how do you feel going into this first race? You know, I've been asking all the riders that, and looking forward to hear how you feel now it gets serious.
Yeah, now the things get serious, like you say. The first race, there is always a little bit more pressure, more tension, everything is new. So it's like the first day of school, no? You know, the teammate, the mates are the same, but stronger or weaker every year. We have to discover in a few hours. So yeah, I'm curious of our potential, and for sure in testing we've shown that we can be there in front.
Thank you for your time. Bye.
Thank you for your time as well, Simon Crafar, and thanks to Amy Dargan as well, because we're going to wrap things up here before the press conference. And all that is left to say is that we are really excited to bring you all the action tomorrow. 12:50 local time, Moto3 Free Practice 1 gets underway. Matt, this is it. We're finally getting ready.